just be working on the next lab, where we'll get even more familiar with it. So let's start. We got to start off by making our HTML. Put on my eyes. Let's see here. HTML. Let's go back. I'd rather get the HTML5. Okay, cool. And so in this body, I'm going to start off with just creating. I'm going to take what's in the GitHub, and post this into the body. So what we see here is we've got just like a outside div. We have an h2 class heading list, ID list. Let's make a list. We've got this UL, ID first, ID second, an OL, a couple of loose LIs in there, and a final LI called third. And let's go ahead and just show what that would look like in the browser. So we'll copy the path, paste it, let's get full screen in here. Okay, so we have this, let's make a list header, and we have this UL filled with LIs, and inside of that we also have an OL, right? One of our elements inside of this LI is an OL, and that's why it's indented in. So what we've mostly been seeing, or according to the curriculum, what we've been seeing up to this point is just grabbing elements based off of the tag name, like writing in the CSS things like, so we'll go to our we should link up our CSS file. Let's just do that first. So I'll say a link tag with a rel style sheet, href, and we can just go ahead and say, for this one, it will be /index.css. And so previously, we've been controlling all of our styling by calling just the element directly. So I could say li, and then I could tell it, I want the color to be green for money, or whatever you interpret green as. And we change everything into green. So that's like what we're expected to know up to today. However, we also have talked about IDs, which is one way that we can select a specific element, like, yeah, keep it going. Damn, that was cool. That's a way better ringtone than mine. I have some serious ringtone envy right now. Okay, well, we saw that we can grab specifically an ID. IDs have to be unique. So if I wanted to just change this first item to be green and only the first item, what would I need to change in my CSS file? Who can help me? Henry? So let's go back and look. So this is our HTML file. I want to make this li green. So how can I select just this one li?
Would you put first instead of last?
Yeah, I would put first. Perfect, right? I can call it by its ID. But before writing first, there's one symbol I have to write. What symbol is that? The octothorpe hashtag #, right? So we can say first. First is the worst. We'll refresh, and then we'll see that just that first item is green. Okay, so an element should only have one ID, and that ID should be unique. So we talked about, also in the past, we said, well, how about if we wanted like a group of elements styled similarly? Well, and what might we use for that? A class, right? So let's go ahead and look at our HTML, see if we have any classes. So we have this class heading. Let's go ahead and make something else have that too. So we'll just do another thing underneath here. We'll make this an H2 as well. And I'll give this a class also of heading. Okay, second header. Alright, so that would look like this. Okay, so if we wanted to update both of those, we have to grab them both. And how can I grab both of those elements? Karen? Dot heading, because this is the class that they share in common. And so let's go ahead and say font, I don't know, font this family. And we'll give it cursive or something yuck. Refresh, and now it's barely readable. But we can see that we were able to change both of those by their set class. Something to note is that an element can have more than one class. The way we can add an extra class is in like this example here. So on line 11, this H2 tag has the class heading and the class heading list. It also has an ID called list. And that is totally legal. So if I wanted to just, like let's say this li had a class as well. So I would say class, and let's give this heading list. Oops. Okay, so now we have two different elements that have the class heading and two different elements with heading list with one element that's overlapping into both worlds. So we could style that. So if we update heading class, or heading list, I mean, so dot selector, then we can say like, okay, let's make that color red. Sorry if you're red-green colorblind. I know I'm using those two colors. I can change it if it's a problem. And we refresh, and we see, okay, that one element that we gave heading list is red, and same with the other one, but that one's also in cursive as well as the other one because it has that class as well. So it's okay to have more than one class on an element. Any questions on that? All right, cool. So if I wanted to change, so can anybody remember why we call it cascading style sheets? Rafi?
The way, the order of how the print comes out, it kind of goes in from certain layers.
Okay, yeah, fair. Excellent. Yes. So that's really the words that I'm specifically looking for. I'll feed your answers pretty good, right? But the children inherit from their parents, so these properties cascade further and further, right? This is like the mother's mother, my mother, me, you know, my future kid, if I have one. We'll see. Not ready yet for kids. Anyway, but we can say UL, and right, I could style this UL directly. I could give it a color green. We'll go back to that, and now all of a sudden we have all of the elements green, right? All of the elements inside of the UL, including. Let's see if I can get back to the HTML. Right, including this OL, this order list, which is made up of LIs. Now, I can also style things that are inside of things. What do I mean by that? Well, I could say, UL, and I could target all of the LIs, or how about everything that's inside of the OL, right? So I'm targeting any OLs inside of a UL. And if I refresh that, only those elements are green. And I'll prove that that's working in a different way. So I'll go outside of here. Let's go ahead and make an OL. The LI, and I'll say guitar, piano. And when I refresh, it's still just the OL that's inside of a UL that's being affected by the style, right? Because I now have two different OLs on the table, or on the page, but only one of them is being affected because only one of them lives inside of a UL. Yes? Okay. So that's one way to style. And there's also some, if we wanted to style multiple things at once, I could also do commas. So if I wanted to get all the ULs, all the OLs, and all of like the thing with heading, let's say, and I refresh, then all of them will be affected. Which, I mean, everything is essentially that. So I named all of my elements. Okay, I'll get rid of the O. If I get rid of the OL, we'll see that this one doesn't take on. So this is how we can select multiple things at once. We can do that separated by a comma. If we want to select things inside of things, we don't use a comma. Okay? So then there's some more sophisticated selectors, which honestly probably won't use very much. Just to be like straight up. You should be aware that they exist and that there's something you can look up. And I highly recommend like going back and reading through the GitHub on this. But I don't want to spend like a lot of time showing and demonstrating somewhat obscure selectors. You'll probably need to look them up through the GitHub for the lab, because the lab is based off of this lesson. But I think it's would be kind of silly to like go too in depth. I will show like there is the child selector where it only will get like a direct child. Like okay, so we saw that if we did UL and LI, we saw that that changed everything in the UL to green. But if I just wanted the LIs that were a direct child to the UL, so like the things inside the OL, those LIs aren't really direct children, right? Those are more grandchildren to the UL. If I wanted it to just be like, this has to be literally the child, we can do that with that greater than sign in between. You do something like that. I'm expecting only first, second, and third item to appear green, because those are the direct children. There are other ones, like if I change this to a plus sign, this is the adjacent sibling selector. Never going to use it probably, really. And it didn't do anything anyway from this example. That's weird. Should have. Well, I don't know why it didn't do anything. Let's see. Oh well. It's really not something you'll use that often. Here's something you will use pretty often. So let's do that instead. So let's go back to our HTML and add a couple more elements. Let's add a button. So I'll say button, and I'll say like click me, and then let's also add an A tag, and we'll say that's going to go to https://www.google.com, and we'll say Google inside And then we'll also make one for Pursuit. I think it's .org, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll make this Pursuit. And when we look at what we have so far, oops, not that. We have this. Well, let me throw in a couple line breaks, just because it's too horrendous to read. Okay. Cool. Can everybody see that? We have some like. So as you can see, when I hover over this, nothing happens to my cursor. Is this a normal behavior or abnormal behavior? You might not even realize. But like, let's pretend we wanted to sign up for Facebook. And we click on, and we hover over login. What do we see that changes? The mouse changes, right? Also, the color changes. Usually. This one, not so much. But all of these are, this one, it underlines and turns into a pointer, right? And this is how web pages signal to the user, like, hey, you can click on them. Right now, if I hover on this, you probably don't think I can click on this. And I can't. It doesn't do anything. But if this didn't work and I was clicking on it, that would feel really weird as a user. So we can control that with something called the Pseudo Selector. And the way we do that, so let's say we just want to style the button. But sorry, I don't know why that didn't work. Okay. We can say button, colon, and then we can say what we're thinking about. So like on hover, we want to turn the cursor to be a pointer. If I do that, when we refresh the page, all of a sudden it turns into this pointer. And it looks like, oh, that's something we can click now, right? Also, sometimes there's a hover effect where the button color changes. So maybe I change the background to black or something. Background to black, misspelled ground. And we can make the color of the text white. So it just kind of inverts its coloring. Whoops. And when we refresh, it's like, oh, ooh, yeah, I can definitely click on this, right? That's like a really good visual to your user. You want them to know that they can click on something. Same goes with links. We probably want these. Oh, this by default already turns into a cursor. But we can change it to be a visited property. So let's say we want our A tags to change colors when they're visited. So we would say, hey, A on the pseudo selector visited. When a link's been visited, we want its color to be brown. I don't know. Kind of looks red to me. Does that look red to anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Right. So I have. Well, I guess apparently I've been to these sites before, so it's acting like I've already selected them. See if I can do like a hard reset. Yeah. Well, you have to trust me that it would work. You notice that when I click on that, it opens up on the same page. Just so you know, if that's like an obnoxious behavior, you can change that by adding a target property. You can say target equals underscore blank. Nice. And if we do that, then when I click on Google, it won't be so annoying. It will just open. What? Is it just one underscore or something? It is too? Why didn't that work then? All right, well, let's try again. Never give up. Right? Never surrender. Never admit defeat. Let's try it. But if this doesn't work, I'm going to move on. Pursue. All right. See, it opened up a new link. Our original one is still there. So that's a really useful thing. Because when someone's navigating on your website and they're going to click on a GitHub link, maybe you don't want that person to leave your website. Maybe you want them to stick around and just open up a new tab. That's how I prefer it. I think that's how most sites are set up. Celine's nodding vigorously as well. Ever. Yeah. There's like more pseudo element selectors. So what I mean by that is I could take my ID of, let's see if any of these, let's say this was lowercase, my third here. And I wanted just like the first letter to be uppercase. I can go ahead and select it with the third. So I'll say dot third because it's a class. And I have to do 2 sets of colons for this, where I would then say first letter, and then I could say like text transform, say uppercase. So if I do that, I'm expecting the T in my third to now become uppercase, and it didn't work. Interesting. 2 of what? Tell me what you mean. I have a. Oh, this? No, it's supposed to be like that. It's weird. To be honest, I don't use pseudo element selectors. Celine, John, never. Yeah, I've never used them either. Why is that not working? I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it's. Let's just check something. Let's make the color pink. See if that makes a difference. Huh. I wonder if it's outdated. I don't know. Really, I'm just gonna keep moving. If you know how to style an ID and a class and a tag name, you're gonna be in pretty good shape. Definitely learn the hover one, maybe the visited one. Hover you will 100% use, like a lot in your life, and the IDs and classes you will use like so much. If you nail those, you'll be like in super good shape in your CSS life. I mean, also assuming you know like have enough attributes and properties in your mind to make it look good. These pseudo elements, it's like, okay, so let's say I wanted to just change, not the visited. Okay, so let's say I wanted my A tags to have the text of yellow. So I'll say color yellow. Okay, we have this hideous yellow, right? But let's say I only wanted that for Google, okay? Well, if I only wanted it for Google, I could key into this A tag here, and I can style based off of a specific attribute or property. So I could say like href equal to https://www.google.com. And now only my Google one should be yellow. It was. I only need one now? Maybe it's... Hang on, let's show me what you're talking about. There's some interesting stuff going. So you're saying it's because of this? Oh. Well, then they have. Not for me. A third is an ID. Ay, ay, ay. I almost never use IDs, just so you know. I almost always use classes. Okay, so that does work. Does the doubles work?
Anything works now.
Oh, man. Excellent. Yeah, cool. I'm so happy that we figured that out. Like, I am happy. Like, I'm still not going to use it. Oh, man. My nose is bleeding. Oh, God, I hope it doesn't start to really come. Okay. Great. Excellent. The lecture's almost over. I want to get through it. Okay. Oh, God. Okay. So with this attribute, we can be like very, very specific. We can also use something else. So like if I just want the one that ends with .com, right? Excellent. Excellent, excellent. I can go ahead and change my CSS file to, instead of having HTTPS, Google, because like let's say I wanted to do this for a lot, but only the comms, I get rid of everything but com. And I can say I want it to end on com, and I'll throw a $sign in front of my equal sign, like that. And Google should still be the only one in yellow. Awesome. Okay. And I can also do it based off of the start by changing the $sign to be the caret sign. Nothing starts with com, so nothing should be yellow. When I refresh, nothing is yellow. Okay? That is everything that I really wanted to go over, except for there's also one that is called the Universal Selector, which I really don't want to see you using, but you should just know that it exists. It looks like a star. Star means select everything. And so I could like make the color of everything. Oh God. This is like the nightmare, right? This is like what you dream about. Color. Oh no, I'm almost through it. Thank you though. Let's say orange. And if we refresh, everything goes to orange, except for some of them which already have a selector. But you would expect everything, but that's like part of the reason why it just doesn't. Like you shouldn't use it. You never need to select everything at once. Okay. Okay, that is everything. I'm gonna go take care of myself. Help.